Hey guys, hey team. I am Kim Rogers, owner and founder of Dynamic Physiques Fitness Lifestyle Studios for Women. Hey, come on in and we're going to talk about some things this morning. I got a really great question this week, and I promised this person that I would discuss her question to me. And so before we get started, you want to know what it takes to slim your thighs and to slim your stomach when you've tried everything. We're going to talk about that today. And I'm going to help you understand what it takes to slim your thighs and to slim your stomach. So here's the question. The question came in, and here's that question. All right. Can you see that question? Yeah. All right, so the question came in. It says, "Good morning, Kim. Just checking on you at this moment. I want to know, what do I need to do to slim my thighs and to get my stomach flat?" Yeah. How do you slim your thighs and flatten your stomach when you've tried everything? Because my question to her was, well, what have you tried before in the past? She said, I've tried walking, I've tried cardio, I've tried water intake, and I have tried eating right, and I've also tried no sugar additives. So what I didn't hear was the approach to her cardio, the approach to her walking, the approach to her diet, the one that she said she was eating right, and the approach to the no sugar additives. So I want to help you understand what it takes to slim your thighs and flatten your stomach with your diet, your training, your cardio, and creating a deadline. Let's get into it. So let's start by understanding your diet. When someone says, I want to slim, the first thing that comes to mind is they are meaning they want to lose fat. They want to see some shape in their thighs, and they want to see muscles in their stomach, in their abdomen. So, slimming the thighs, talking about diet. First, you got to understand where fat came from and what fat is and how you lose the fat. So where did the fat come from? It's simple. Most of the time we take these extreme approaches to losing fat, and we feel like nothing is working. And that is how she is feeling, like nothing is working because of maybe some extreme approach. I didn't hear her process. She just said what she's tried. So let's talk about diet. What is fat? That is simply the overconsumption of calories, which gets stored as fat. I also want you to understand that body fat storage is never on, it's always on, and it's never off. So your body is always storing fat and you're always burning fat. There's no way to turn that process on or off, right? I mean, to turn that process off, because your fat, understand, your fat is energy. It's an energy source. You use energy to blink your eyes, you use energy to move your hands, you use energy. So your fat storage is always on. You're always storing fat. What needs to happen in your diet is the gap between your fat storage and the gap between your fat expenditure. Meaning, trainers often say move more and eat less. What does that mean? All right. Does that mean wiggling? Does that mean strength training? Does that mean walking, running, jogging? I would never recommend to someone that is trying to lose fat to become an endurance athlete. I love running, but running is not sustainable for everyone. I love running for the endurance of the run. I would recommend running for someone who wants to be an endurance athlete. I would recommend jogging for someone who wanted to get better at jogging. What is sustainable? Sustainable is something that you can pick up and just go for it. And believe it or not, walking is one of the easiest things that you can do that would help you create a caloric deficit. Yes, that is what you need in order to see your body shed fat. You need a caloric deficit. A caloric deficit is the gap between the food you take in, or the calories you take in, not food, but the calories you take in and the calories that you expend throughout your entire day. Well, Kim, how do you create this caloric deficit? Well, you can create a caloric deficit in one or two ways. You can create a caloric deficit through your nutrition, or you can create a caloric deficit with exercise. What does that look like? Well, you first have to understand what you're doing now in order to adjust, right? If you don't understand how many calories you're taking in, if you don't understand what your activity levels look like throughout your entire day, that is likely where you need to begin. You don't need to begin with an extreme approach with just cutting out macronutrients. Let's talk about training. Do you need an extreme approach? Most people back in the day, including myself, took that extreme approach because HIIT exercises was on the scene. But what I come to find out after a HIIT workout, I was extremely hungry. HIIT exercises really increased the appetite. And what was happening is I was overcompensating in my calories after the workout, meaning I didn't have the gap far enough in between where I was, right? And where I needed to be to create the caloric deficit. I was simply adding back in the calories that I had expended, and that exercise was only a part of my day. A few positive things happened when I started to pay attention to the third thing that you need to pay attention to, and that is your cardio. What type of cardio do you need in order to lose fat? Most people will say running. Most people will say lifting weights. Well, Kim, don't lifting weights. When you lift weights over a period of time, you develop more lean muscle mass. And yes, that is true. And more lean muscle mass burns more calories. That is true at rest. That is absolutely true. Here's the question. Her question is how to slim her legs and thighs. How do you lose fat? And for a person's body fat that is over 30%, you need a cardio plan. What cardio plan are you able to sustain? Most people over long periods of time are just not able to sustain running or HIIT workouts or lifting weights for an hour. That is going to be very stressful on the joint. So you want an approach that you're able to sustain for the rest of your life. And that approach is walking. I found some positive things happen in my life and in my body when I started to walk and pay attention to how many steps I was taking in a day. Yes, even at the beginning of this year, I was getting less than 5,000 steps, even though I was working out twice per day, 2 hours per day, taking in less than 5,000 steps. And I had started to gain weight because my activity had decreased, even though my exercise was 2 hours per day, which is about 10% of my entire day. All right. So, what happened when I decided to pay attention to my daily activity? Well, a few positive things happened. I noticed that my waist decreased. I also noticed that my hunger level went down. And I noticed that um, I just became more mentally clear. I felt better. I rested well at night. And I saw some changes in my legs and in my thighs. My measurements started to go down. Now, what you also need to understand is how fat comes off the body. All right. So you need a way to track your progress. How do you track that progress? Well, the first and easy thing that we go to is the scale. And yes, you do want to pay attention to the scale, understanding that the scale is not the trusted measure of your progress because the scale ticks up and it ticks down based on a few things, based on your digestion, based on a high sodium meal, based on if you've lifted weights and water has come into the muscles. So the scale, yes, over a period of time, but you want to go to a more trusted measure of progress. Pictures. Pictures don't lie. So you want to start off with taking pictures. Take pictures of your front view, your side view, and your back view. And over a period of time, over the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you want to recompare those pictures. There will be progress in those pictures. The next thing you want to do is take measurements. We've all had clothing. I have on some clothes today that I haven't worn in a very long time. And the first thing I noticed was my waistline has really gone down since I have started paying attention to the total amount of activity that I do in a day, which is highly active. I've been highly active over the last 3 months. That is 90 days, right? 3 months. So what is highly active? Well, let's just start off with what the 10,000 step project says. What's sedentary? Okay. A person taking less than 5,000 steps per day, 5,000 or less steps per day, according to the 10,000 step project, is sedentary. Even though you're going to the gym 6 days a week and working out 1 hour and taking in less than 5,000 steps, your lifestyle is considered sedentary. A person that's taking in 7,500 to 10,000 steps per day, you are moderately active. Moderately active. That is a moderately active person, to include an hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes of daily exercise, right? So activity is what you do in the entire course of your day. And highly active person, you are taking in and moving 12,500 steps or more per day. That's a highly active individual. And so that's what I've been doing over the last 90 days. I've been really focused on my entire day, my entire daily activity. The next thing I recommend for this person to do is to set a deadline. Oftentimes people say, I just want to slim my thighs. I just want to slim my back. I just want to slim my stomach, and not really set a deadline. So it's not meaningful to them. They don't really have a vision or a focus. You need a deadline so it can mean something to you. When you set a deadline, then you know that that deadline is coming. And that makes it more meaningful. You can actually see it and makes you move toward the deadline. That's why we create challenges, just like the challenge that I just created for the last 90-day challenge that we did. And we may do another one later on in this year. So what does she need in order to slim her thighs and flatten her stomach? No, ab exercises don't give you abs, right? Back exercises don't give you back muscles, right? You build muscle and you define your muscle with exercise. You pick a weight up, you put a weight down. That's how it works. If you want to see the sculpt in your muscles, then yes, losing body fat helps you to do that. And what most people are not aware of is the amount of body fat and time it takes to get to that place that they want to be. And if you're over 30% body fat, that means that you got quite a bit of ways to go. And so the first things you want to focus on when you have quite a bit of ways to go is to say, I have quite a bit of ways to go, and I need to have some type of personal accountability in this goal that I'm setting for myself. Listen, and you want the journey to be enjoyable. So I recommend that this person start off with the simplest thing, and that is tracking her progress. She needs to take some pictures, she needs to take some measurements, and find a pair of tennis shoes and simply begin to understand what her daily activity level is. If it's below 5,000 steps, then simply add 500 steps per week until she gets up to a highly active activity level. Then move on from there because you want to elicit some type of response. Move on to your diet because diet plays a big role in you seeing results, right? And then after that, you also want to include a cardio plan. If you're over 30% body fat, you need a cardio plan, meaning you need some type of exercise plan in your routine per day, at least 3 to 4 days per week. Cardio plan, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes a day, whatever fits you. Listen, we're all different, right? So you want to figure out what works best for you, your body, your goals, and your life. And that is the reason I created the Lifestyle Fitness Studio for Women, because lifestyle is about your habits, your choices, your behaviors for the rest of your life.